Sermon with the drag down tackle. It's close to the line. Touched and deliberate.
Oh, wow.
In the goal square.
Surely not. And you can see she was scrambling because they don't want to concede. There is no way in the world Port Adelaide's trying to concede a goal there given the scoreboard result.
I thought, wow, so this is a gift for the Cats. Michaela Bowen from the goal square to hand them back the lead in the final quarter. She's popped it through. It's been a wonderful contest here at Alberton, but as the final siren sounds, the Cats stay alive in season 2025. Their third win in a row. They take down the Power by 5 points in an absolute classic.
Alrighty, hello, welcome to the CREEDCAST. It's Tuesday, innit? Tuesday evening, 23rd of September. Jamie and I are here, as per usual, to run down what's been going on with your Port Adelaide Footy Club over the weekend. And unfortunately, it's another loss that we are here to talk about. Seems to be a 2025 theme, no matter what the iteration of the Port Adelaide Football Club we're talking about is. But a heartbreaking one at Alberton Oval early Saturday afternoon. Your Port Adelaide Footy Club going down. 6-4-40 was our score to Geelong's sadly marginally better 6-9-45. It was a disappointing one, both for some reasons that we'll talk about that are kind of the themes of the year with this women's side as we get into it, but also it was marked by some very, very decent controversy at the end as well, which has been kind of carried over through the post-mortem of the game with the AFL and Port Adelaide seeking answers and all that stuff. But we will get into it. But first of all, as always, good evening, Jamie. Have you recovered from your weekend yet?
Hello. Yes, I have. Just enough. No, I had a good weekend, albeit with the loss by our ladies. But what a tough game of football. What a hard effort. And a hard pill to swallow at the end of it.
It was made all the more difficult by we can get right into it and just, elephant in the room kind of stuff and just deal with it straight off the top. Yeah, the free kick at the end paid against our Emily Borg, which first of all just never question anything that Emily Borg's doing ever. So that's reason one why that umpire should never umpire again. Before he even gets to the decision, it's just like it's Emily Borg. What she does goes. But it was a really, really in live vision, me watching it live. And apologies, by the way, anyone listening, if I sound nasally or anything like that. I am recovering from having a very, very decent bout of the flu over the weekend. I didn't make it down to the game due to it. I was in the midst of this, hot and cold, sweating while I'm cold stuff during this game on my couch, just an absolute mess. But even through all that, the delirium that I had while being in the midst of all the flu symptoms, when this decision happened, I almost bounced out of my couch in rage. It's like I am not sure what is real and what is not in that period of the flu. And I still knew watching that live that was a shit decision. And then just watching it on replay, it's just like it's egregious. And we've talked a lot about AFLW umpiring at times and just some of the, and this is something that happens to the men's as well a little bit, these kind of ones. But this one there was no traffic to obscure things. It was just a plain bad, horrible decision.
Yes. There's not much to disagree with there. Everyone knows it. The AFL has come out and said it was a mistake. So there's not a whole lot of conjecture, but like you said, it's some umpiring decisions that we do tend to get in the AFLW for some reasons that we've spoken about in the past. And for those new, welcome. Happy to have you here along the journey with our AFLW side, but we've obviously spoken about some AFL standard umpires, that's the men's competition, either being at the back end of their careers, or we've got people who are quite fresh at the start of their careers and maybe not quite ready for it yet. Matilda Schultz was interviewed today and they obviously asked her and she played pretty straight back to it all. basically saying that it's it's a good thing that a young person, a young female, can have the opportunity to umpire a game of AFLW. The issue is that she's just had an absolute mare in the moment, and it beggars belief as to what, because whenever the umpires have to make a call, we've all seen excerpts of the rule book. They have to make all these different adjudications in a moment, but
Mm.
it beggars belief as to what was the sequence that was going through that young lady's that mind in the moment. For mine, it Emily Borg's effort was quite clumsy.
Mhm.
She couldn't grab the ball. I would usually say she couldn't grab the ball even if she tried, but she was trying.
Yeah.
And ultimately didn't take possession.
Mm.
And we have seen some fairly contentious, deliberate rush behind free kicks paid across both competitions this year, 2025. Usually, the person giving up the free kick, as it were, actually has possession of the ball.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I can think of is that the umpire interpreted it as Borg actually punching the ball through rather than completely fumbling, and I think even copping a mouthful of dirt as to the
Yeah.
clumsiness of her attempt to actually collect the ball. And I do think that she meant to collect the ball, and I do think that she was clumsy and it bobbled over the line. Um, Now, another point that Schultz made was that there was 7 minutes left in the game, and there was plenty of time for both sides to do something. Um, and I get that, but the score more or less held for the rest of the game. And in a game of 12 goals in total, a call that egregious is very important, clearly. It's a game decided by 5 points in the end. And what was a very, it wasn't even a beneficial shot at goal. Um, it was just point blank range. Like yeah, it's the harshest of penalties. And like I said, Port asked a question. The AFL said it was a mistake. There's nothing that we can do about it now.
Yeah.
But pointed out that that is not what anyone wants to see
Mm.
in AFL being penalised. And that's assuming that Emily Borg deliberately tried to rush the ball behind, which I don't believe for a second.
Yeah. She's one that takes a lot of pride in her skill and abilities down there, and she does often take the ball on the last line and find an outlet. Like that's part of the annoyance of me with the umpire. I did say something on Twitter along the lines of should never umpire again, and I feel somewhat bad about that because it is, as you know, to your point about what Matilda said, is it's like these young, we want these people to come through and umpire, but it's just like, and we've had this discussion a lot when we talk about the men's competition too, that often while we exert our frustrated energies at the umpires on the day and sometimes in the days after when we're talking about it, because that's who's there. It's like the Dennis in Always Sunny, like when he's trying to order like a bubble tea, and the freaking cashier's just like, oh, you need to use a card. It's like I got cash. Why can't I use cash? And she's like, oh, he's like, okay, I guess I'll use my card. And she's like, and then you need to download the app. It was very Always Sunny in Philadelphia stuff, but he's just like, okay, you are not you are not the problem here, but since you are the one that I can talk to about it, you are going to feel my wrath or something like that. Like that's what we do with
Yeah,
umpires
yeah.
too. It's just like
Oh, we
all of
do.
our issues come down to the fact that they are so overloaded with information that they've got to kind of like filter out through decisions on game day, and there's like this Rolodex of shit this umpire's probably looking at when Emily Borg's fumbling across the ground, and she just comes out with deliberate, whereas it shouldn't. It just, if she'd had if things were a bit more clear, and that's what makes, again, though, I think it's egregious because I think it's just not an example of what that is. But young, dealing with a lot of information, it happens. But it's also just the fact that like know the people you're officiating. Like we know yeah, like AFL men's maybe players are known a little bit more. You can see the way they officiate certain players. It's like Emily Borg's a good, honest defender, works hard, um, isn't
Mm.
has never looked to try to like deceive with through things like that, and like it's just and know the game and know what's going on and know the conditions. It was wet, rain came down at one point. It was a slick
Mhm.
field at times. Conditions just for AFLW in general a lot more blustery and wild card ish. It's just understand the kind of what's going on and certainly know that a player is just not simply not going to be trying to like even with the game as tight as it was. She's not even wanting to give up a point if she can help it. So
Yes, yeah.
like that's the thing is it's like she's probably not going to try and rush it behind if she can help it. Like she'd rather gather the ball and maybe get up and go to kick or bring be a stoppage
Kick
or
for
something.
touch or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors going into it that I immediately thought of just watching the game as and it's just like that's why the decision stings so much. And there's a lot of parts of the game that we could have played better. We could have, to the point there was plenty of time left, but it was a low scoring game. It was a game that contest got heavier as the game went on. We were a bit soft in that in the start, but it got better as the game went on. It's just there's a lot at play and a lot of frustration, and we've got enough frustration that we'll get into in a moment about just how we're playing at times. But when you've
Mm.
got an opportunity to steal one and then it gets kind of stolen from you in a way again, it really just kind of sticks the boot in on what's already a bit of a frustrating year as far as our fortunes go, because we've gotten so close on a few occasions now and just not quite got there. And that's what really stings about it when there's a little bit of feeling of injustice, even though to yours and Matilda's point, we could have won the game in different ways if we wanted to as well.
Yeah, yeah, and we can focus on that last decision, but I just refreshed my memory before with the KO Mini, and I got to be honest, a couple of their other goals were pretty suspicious in the way that they eventuated. I wasn't too happy with Alyssa Brooke being paid pushing in the back, which gave them another shot from very close range. I believe I saw another one that was a clear throw that ended up
Yeah.
being a goal. So the bitter pills that you have to swallow, yeah, when you're a loser, winners are grinners and losers can suit themselves, as the saying goes. So, um, but if we're going to focus on ourselves, you are right. There are a couple of things that this young side have marked against them, and that's a bit of flat-footedness in the beginning,
Mm.
and then our finishes haven't been that fantastic. The last quarter was all right in this game. I mean, yeah, we could have snatched it. I think we went, including that free kick goal, it was basically goal for goal. So we dug in there, but the margin's 10 points at quarter time and we lose by five, and at quarter time we've scored nothing.
Yeah.
Albeit Geelong started with the wind, that was the scoring end. However, it wasn't like we didn't go inside 50, and it wasn't like we generated some good chains of possession or some good looks inside 50 that we just absolutely got nothing out of. Snag a goal, and ultimately, the butterfly flaps its wings. Who knows what happens from that point on? It's quite simple to say you kick a goal in the first quarter and you're winning by one in the end, but
Yeah.
football doesn't necessarily work out that way. The fact of the matter is, yeah, in these games where we go, oh, we've had an opportunity late or we've come close, it's generally because we've started slow and we've lacked vigor in the contest, and then we work our way back into it in the second and third quarters typically, and then the last quarter is a bit of a crapshoot at the moment, because you mentioned the contested possession, or the contested nature of it being lacking to begin with, and then we end up with more contested possessions than them.
Yeah.
Um, there's just some lapses in concentration that I don't know if they're severely hurting us. I mean, that last 5 minutes against West Coast definitely did. The score was much more respectable before that.
Yeah.
Um, Fremantle, they took a bit of advantage in these moments, but I think it's more the fact that when we're still struggling in second gear a little bit in these stages, we're not getting one against the flow, which a good
Yeah,
team can still manage to do with their limited opportunities that they generate. The problem is that, yeah, we're not getting that just token goal on the board or handful of scores, and the opposition are just going about their business, it would seem,
yeah,
which is frustrating. Um, and then, yeah, to finish the game, and the statistics don't even look that bad from a team point of view. Um, yeah, again, we lose by 5 points. It's how do you feel? You know, umpiring decision, a poor start, score wise. Um, but these are the margins that we find ourselves in with this tougher draw this season, and with a little bit of adversity to start the season.
yeah. Speaking just of that contested number, when I was watching the game, I made the note that I think we're -11 in contested possession towards the end of the first quarter. And we end up +3 by the end of the game. So it's not a massive
Mm,
margin by the end, but when you see how that kind of being -11 to them by the end of the first quarter is kind of exemplifies why that's where that first quarter difference came from. They kicked 1 goal for. We were probably lucky they were a little bit profligate in front of goal. And
yes.
there's part of that is I think we do make it tough down there. Like we defend okay when it gets in there, and I think that they did take some good marks inside 50, and there was just a bit of flat-footedness in. I am going to
Well,
immediately.
was their first goal that turnover that Ash Woodland dropped that regulation chess mark?
There was
Was
a
that the
lot of
third
drop marks
quarter?
in the.
It
I
was
can't
down that
remember.
end, but
Yeah,
Kate Sermon, obviously
yeah,
ex-Port player, had the shot. Well, had a mark inside 50, went to pass it, completely butchered it, the ball bounces around, and then she gets it back and then kicks it out in the full. Molly Brooksby kicks it inboard. Woodland's calling for it because she's open.
yeah,
Brooksby hits the kick and it just bounces off Woodland's chest. Ball bounces around again, and I think it was Nina Morrison who played a good game, and
yeah.
we knew that she was going to play well heading into the game. She kicks. Was it their first goal? Yeah.
You know, Morrison did kick
I
the first.
believe that was it. So you've got a few contentious umpiring decisions or non-decisions with the throw that I saw, and then a turnover goal. Whereas I think our goals, by and large, I mean, Goody nearly had her head taken off, and she
Yeah,
kicked a goal off the back of that free kick. But I think, to be biased, of course, I think most of our goals were well earned through passages of play, changing angles, looking for options. A bit of an Indy Tahoe masterclass in the last quarter. Um, So we're not that far off, I guess, is the point that I'm making.
yeah,
Um, the opposition away from home at our home deck get a bit fortunate. But unfortunately, being not that far off, like we're running out of time. It's
yeah,
now halfway through the season, and um, we need to round out these games of football by playing 4 quarters, and snatching that against the flow goal, most importantly, or goal and a bit through score when things aren't quite clicking, because we have shown that in every game we've played this year, when it does click, we can actually we get back in the hunt with our contested football and our pressure, which did come to the fore at stages in this game. It's
yeah,
just not sustained, or it's not coming out of the gates, or it's not finishing off a game. Um, is some of the issues that we find.
yeah. And it is just still some of that. There's that immaturity in the side, and I mean that. I don't mean that in like a bad way. I just mean like literally by the core nature of what maturity means.
Mm.
We are a younger side.
There's
Uh,
a lot of girls who've played under 25 games in
yeah,
our team right now, and
and we're talking
while
about a league
we
where
look
we're
at
only just getting to 100 gamers. So like when
yeah,
but there's a
exactly.
lot of veterans out there. So when you've got a side that's so full of players all in that
Mm.
range of games, you're essentially talking about
And I think they're super talented. Like I see this team on paper, And I just think of, 3, 5, 10 years down the track and how good they will be.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're in 2025 right now, and we have to deal with the reality that it is
Yeah.
that we can be as talented as we are, but they need to find a way to find that zone
It
a bit
feels
more
like
consistently.
whenever I used to play FIFA career mode regularly, and you'd like every time a new FIFA game comes out, you'd like Google the list of the Wonder Kids, and they're like the 16-year-olds in the game that you could go out and buy for like that. But they're projected that if you do all the right things, that they'll turn into like from a 65 rated player into like 88, 90. So you'd go out and fill your team as
And
like,
become a deserving winner of the Ballon d'Or.
yes, yeah, you wouldn't fucking finish fourth. Fucking God, just a French rag that means nothing. That goddamn fucking trophy. Yeah. Anyway,
I was gonna slip that in at some stage.
oh, you timed it well. But yeah, I'd fill up a team with just 16-year-old wonder kids, and you kind of you'd maybe have a couple of veterans. You it'd be a bit tough at times, but then once they all grew at pace together, then in a couple of years of your career mode, you'd suddenly have this team of like fucking worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're all fucking superstars. So it kind of feels like we're in the midst of that growth, hopefully at the moment. But it's all project. It is also, we're all projecting what we hope and believe they will be. But we are still somewhat. There is part of what the run that we had last year. I try to not feed that into it, but it is still like I want to feel that again. And so,
Oh yeah, fuck yeah! Especially how the men's season ended.
yeah,
We were looking to our women to turn the tide in our emotions, but we're on a similar roller coaster ride at the moment as well for some similar reasons and some different reasons.
yeah, they are bad. Like sans the Kangaroos game, we are in every game up until the last 5 minutes. That's been or winning them, if not winning them, like outright, like the Gold Coast one. But the Melbourne one was a close one, but we were up by more, and then Freo, West Coast, Geelong just gone. All games that we easily could have won, and we're right in it up until five. Freo and I mean, particularly this one, just one kick going right in the last couple of minutes, and we're ahead. So it is frustrating, but it is still beyond the umpiring and some of those things. There is still just a little bit of Arnell keyed in on it again, and it's the theme of it. It's just inconsistency in our pressure and application, and when you know the things, because I think we actually mitigated a lot of the things that we were going to have to try to mitigate as best as possible, such as turnovers, disposal efficiency, all of those areas, metrics. We actually kind of were in the window, the window of hope, so to speak.
Improved.
Yeah.
I know. That's part of that is what I was alluding to before. Yeah.
So we did a lot of things right in trying to harness the things that we don't do well and just kind of compartmentalize a little bit and just try to bridge the gap. And we did it. I mean, we had used the ball 3.2% better efficiency than we have on the season. They were just under there, so we've kind of bridged that gap a little bit. And turnovers, it's a -9. We had 9 more turnovers at them on the day versus the 12 that we average more. So we kind of bring that in a little bit. But in a close game, those numbers probably still matter because you could just see at times that their cleanliness and disposal, their ability to have, they had more of the ball but turned it over less. So that kind of that's what makes the turnover differential kind of like you look at it and go, all right, we brought it in a bit, but then you look at the amount of ball that you have comparative to each other. They should technically if we're losing a turnover battle while also having 51 less disposals, then it's probably not good. And then the old tackle number as well. I've got to scroll down to the tackle number, but we had 16 less tackles on the day as well. And I think that speaks to a lot about what Geelong did right, and they were just harassing better because again, they have 51 more disposals. We should be having at least the same number of tackles at bare minimum, if not more, considering what we think of as the DNA of our team and the fact that we average 6 more tackles a game. So that's a complete flip-flop of
that's stark.
So that's probably the one that I said we mitigated a lot of and actually did some good things with some of those areas that we have struggled with this year. that's one of our DNA areas. And again, to Arnell's point, an area that she was a bit frustrated with again on the weekend, and the inconsistency in that pressure and those things that we have done well in the past.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, tackles, when you put it in that lens, it is pretty stark. And that, I think, in these games that we've lost, that's generally been the story, is that we haven't put the opposition under enough pressure, even when so Geelong, obviously they play a similar style to Melbourne, who we played a week before. They like to move it around a bit. Obviously, weather is was completely different to the Melbourne game, but
Yeah.
um, there's obviously a defensive breakdown in a few phases of the game, and um, yeah, chasing tail a little bit, but yeah, some of these statistics we're not going to change overnight, but um, I think the ones that we more or less focus on are the ones that we expect to be in a good place most weeks.
Mm.
And because it is the cornerstone of how we play football, our skills are by no means elite. So we do rely on the pressure that we put on the opposition. And when that's gone, unfortunately,
Yeah.
we don't quite have the hand and foot skills to get ourselves out of trouble a lot of the time. I do think in some regards we've improved, but that's more we've improved from a game awareness to slow it down at stages and then change some angles. And we're finding some marks that way and developing chains of possession that way. But yeah, in general play, our our disposal efficiency is still in a realm where we can't afford to just be lax when we inevitably lose it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, uh,
I think particularly in this
I,
game,
I
just a side note on the tackles. I think part of the reason we aided them and giving them more tackles despite their seasonal averages is just because of where we how we position ourselves in the field and how we work our way ourselves into pressure situations through bad disposal and bad kicking. It like allows them easier tackling opportunities
mhm.
as well. If that makes sense, I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm kind of picturing some
It makes
they're
sense to me.
yeah,
Yeah, if you're
yeah,
kicking it into a congested area or hand passing it back into traffic, of course,
yeah.
yeah, and
Or
then
just
to
miss
the
kicking
teams that
and
we've,
you miss
yeah,
kick and throw your structures off, and players are going where they're not meant to be, and it kind of everyone gets twist turned out of the structure, and then you end up running yourselves
hmm
into pressure.
hmm I, I do also think that the discrepancy is due to the fact that I don't think we put on enough pressure,
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
that regard, across a whole game. Um, just speaking about taking opportunistic moments and in transitions sometimes and being opened up the other way. I don't know. It's funny, we don't really do watches and spotlights here, but um, I noticed on replay that there's a few moments, particularly early, and again, if we want to focus on our starts, it's really up to the leaders to set the tone. And um, Gemma Houghton is doing a lot of hard work and getting herself into some favorable positions to be a target. But there was a period of the year, particularly like last year, we commented on it seemed that she had cinder blocks for hands at a stage there, and then it turned. And I feel like I don't know if she's actually, I feel like she's been in that mode for the whole half of this season so far.
uh-huh.
Um, And I mean, I look at her career stats, and she's actually averaging more marks this season than she is across her career. At the height of her career, though, back when she played at Fremantle,
Yeah,
from a marking point of view, she was taking nearly 4 marks a game. It's closer to 2.5 um, this year, I believe. Um,
She
But
can.
in a competition that's ever improving, and in a team where overall our marking has improved statistically, um, and yeah, we see the likes of Schultz improving as a big player, um, Tahoe seemingly being able to grip most things, Heads coming in, and being and having it seem a bit second nature. I think Houghton can hold the keys, and she's letting herself down. She's obviously, letting the team down is a very harsh way to put it. It's not necessarily that. There's just watching it before, um, kicks either to the center, half forward, like because these are the positions that she's generally in.
Mm,
And when we're going into quarter time 0-0, you just need Gemma Houghton to take a mark on a half forward flank to then release what I would only assume is an Indy Tahoe out the back, or a Caitlin Pope running past, and she was fairly involved on Saturday's game.
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think we've seen a game from Gemma yet where just everything's sticking when it's coming to her. She's obviously taking marks because, like I said, I looked up her statistics before, and she's averaging more this year than she has done for her career in total. But maybe the career total is a bit um, taken with a grain of salt. Like I said, in a team where our marking overall has increased.
Yeah.
So it would seem only natural that even if you are in a slump from that point of view, um, it would make sense that your seasonal marks is risen as well.
Yeah. I mean, she had the 2 marks for the game. I reckon there was 2 uncontested situations relative that she had relatively simple opportunities to mark that she kind of just like grabbed at it and it just it popped out of her hands. And look, conditions could have been a part of it. It's still like ones that you expected to take. A cup like two or
And
three
ones that other people are still taking in the same
exactly, and like
conditions.
and Geelong by and large in those situations were clunking those marks without a thought. So yeah, there was at least 2 of those, and there was 2 or 3 contested situations where look 50-50s for sure, but I think there was like at one point I just was like, that's 4 or 5 in a row that she's dropped. A couple of them uncontested, a couple of them contested. I was just like, this is like Gemma at
Mm.
least takes 2 of those usually, and we've gone 4 or 5 in a row where she's had like 2 hands on it, maybe.
And
And
then, well, and then we see the mark, but then the kind of the double backing, or like the playing on and just hoodwinking her opposition. That's
yeah,
that's the stuff we live for from Gemma.
yeah,
And while she's doing the initial hard work to get to the ball to provide an option to kick to, yeah, it's just falling down in that moment. And she is a leader. She holds a key to some of our fortunes, being the barometer in our words.
yeah,
And for you to say that, yeah, there was about 5 or 6 in a row opportunities. The first quarter can look a bit different if the barometer's up and running early and she's taking marks and releasing, or she's taking on her opponent and burning them, leaving
yeah,
them in her wake to kick a score. It's pretty important, and there's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of other parts to a football team, and like we mentioned, there is a lot of young people or inexperience through games out on the field. Um, so that's where we really need our leaders to lift a little bit.
yeah. Particularly ones like Gemma who have such a unique skill set that she can play big, but she can also, and she just like, yeah, she what 2 marks, 4 disposals, just didn't really have that huge impact that we would have liked to, particularly a tight game like that. That's built for Gemma to kind of bustle through and do some things.
Well,
But
when we saw it last year when she got up and running, it was magic. Like, and a bit similar to my sentiments about MULES-ROBINSON this year being the captain and the necessity to get her involved in the game. Like last year when Gemma Houghton was up and about, it was infectious, and that permeated through the whole side.
mm,
When she's getting around the ball, stuff's happening, generally for the positive. It's just I've noticed on a fair few occasions this year that she's doing a lot of hard work. She's running up and down the ground in her role. It's just the gimmies as well that aren't being taken and aren't she isn't letting herself razzle and dazzle, which yeah, we got very accustomed to once we got into our work last year, and it could be that extra couple of percent. Because I'm not saying that she's being lazy or anything, and I know you're not interpreting it that
Oh,
way.
absolutely not.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it's it's the fact that she is doing a lot of that hard running and getting herself involved in contest, or sorry, providing an option um, out of the forward 50. But it's just that leadership to just seal the deal and then bring the team along for the ride. Um, she holds a key to us lifting that extra couple of percent that would otherwise get us over the line, like scoring in the first quarter and potentially offering up a bit more throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, yeah. Because there was one of those marks. It was an early opportunity. It was probably could have been even before Geelong had scored. That you could have again like butterfly flaps at swings kind of stuff. Who knows what would have happened? But just it would have got her involved earlier. I think when she starts getting touches early, it's just like it's like
Mm,
a football player getting their touch or
it's
whatever.
like a
Like
tinderbox.
yeah, you start getting that feel for it, and it can flow on from there. So certainly hope for better as the second half of the season goes on. But yeah, it's just sad to see a game that was so tight and could have used her in there. It's just that 4 disposals, a couple of marks, still gets a goal like, and that kind of shows that she doesn't need much opportunity to make an impact. So that's why it'd be so much
That's
nicer
right.
to even get up to 10, 11 disposals, taking a couple more marks, and having another shot or two on goal. And yeah, similar as Mitch Georgiades numbers we talked about all year, like get the 4 shots on goal, get him those opportunities like as a baseline, and then see what happens, from there. So yeah,
Yeah, and just a mentality point of view for the team, you even if we say that she kicks that a 1 goal in the first quarter and Geelong a 1 goal four, and all of a sudden they go into their huddle going, "Fuck, we had the win, but we're only 4 points up because we couldn't take advantage." And now, they've kicked that handy goal, and now they've got the wins,
yeah,
which we did use quite well in the second quarter. Yeah, it's those small mental notes along any particular sport, but football in particular now, just that scoreboard pressure, even though in this hypothetical situation, if we kick a goal, we're still behind. But it's just the fact that we've done it against the flow, we've done it against the scoring end, and
mm,
and you go into the huddles in a different mind space. We did come out in the second quarter and take much more advantage when we had it, obviously, as you
mm,
would expect. But I mean, we kicked 4 goals, one in the second quarter. So fantastic effort coming off the back of nothing in the first quarter. But talking about a game lost by 5 points, so it does come down to fine margins,
mm,
and getting such a such an infectious player involved early can make that little bit of difference across a game.
yeah. Yeah, I wanted to touch on one before we'll get to votes and stuff soon. And then anything else you've got bringing up, I'm really starting to die here with these flu symptoms. I'm utilizing as Jamie's
Maybe you
talking.
need a Tylenol.
Yeah, yeah, well, I'm not getting pregnant anytime soon, so I should be okay. Fucking hell, God, what a dumb timeline we live in. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
anyway, Lauren Young made her debut, and I
You
was
did.
nicely impressed with what we saw out of her. She didn't get involved in the goals or anything like that, but she looked really good. She had 8 disposals, 5 of them contested, 7 tackles, couple 1 percenters, and used the ball well, and seemed to have a just immediately good understanding of game speed,
Awareness.
awareness. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and something that as we were talking about our side, and we talk about the immaturity as far as the age profile goes. She's one of those, but her composure, considering this was her first game and it was a tough game, a tight grind and everything like that. She just looked completely at home amongst it right away, which is really, really pleasing to see.
Yeah, and like you alluded to, first game, but first game of football for a
Yeah.
couple of years, um, because they're not playing. There's no reserves AFLW, while she's in her recovery. So yeah, very promising. Yeah, as Lozarnell mentioned in her like a midweek press conference or a late week press conference, she's had to do it a little bit differently. She's hasn't been drafted and then debuted that upcoming year like every other person in her particular draft class would have. She's had to sit and wait and mature from the sidelines in a way. So, yeah, when it comes to Saturday's game, yeah, she really did hit the ground running. Yeah, equal second for Marks as well
Yeah.
on that topic with 3, as you said. But yeah, it's the out of the eight disposals that she did now, obviously playing as a forward, it is the kind of 62.5% disposal. So that's nice as a starting point.
Yeah.
The 2 out of those 3 marks were contested as well. So she just straight off the bat, it just did seem like she had an appetite for the contest. Funnily enough, to juxtapose the topics of the episode thus far, a young player appetite for the contest, but she did. It was super impressive. When it comes to votes, she was obviously going to be an honourable mention for myself to tease forward, but it's a great starting point for mine.
Yeah.
And definitely something that we can build on at a time where, when we've commented on our adversity starting the season, if all things go to plan this week on the training track, we should have just about a full strength squad of available sans season-ending injuries to Cuthbertson and Wendland.
Yeah.
So then it's over to you, players, essentially. But to draw it back to Lauren Young, fantastic start. I'm very much looking forward to how she progresses for the rest of the season, and hopefully that includes finals.
Yeah. It's one of those things. So I think we talked about it in the preview leading up to it, like what kind of debut it would be, because we know we've seen some of the pipe windows and co that have come in who have just, taken off since, but very sometimes a little bit of like, deer in headlights, like, oh my God, I'm in the big show now, kind of looks about how they perform. But Lauren Young is just like, no, I'm here. I should have been here sooner, but I'm here now. I'm going to make up for lost time, because that's, 71% time of ground to get up there in the in those effective disposal numbers and be laying the tackles that you did. And I think she led the team for tackles, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
she did.
Yeah, I think 7 was and I mean, what
Shoals
was it? 5 of them were inside 50 as well.
Yes, they were. Yeah, so forward pressure, which is we need a little bit of that. So yeah, no, if that can be her baseline for the year, then geez, you're looking at a good upwards trajectory going forward. Because she just looks like the kind of player that isn't gonna. She was just getting involved. Like, she's going to find a way to get involved if the ball's down in her area, which we seem to be, in these games against these teams, while we're having slightly less inside 50s, we're getting enough inside 50s to provide opportunity for the likes of Lauren Young and co to go to work.
We're a good scoring efficiency side.
Yeah.
That's also something that we're not, taking full advantage of through more often than not poor skills, to be honest. But turnovers, not getting it in our area enough. So with that in mind, adding another string to the bow and adding another dimension to that forward line, just get it there, and keep it there.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. Like, especially when you've got Indy Tahoe down there providing some magic as well, and then you've got the targets that we do have. It's exciting times for some of these players that are coming in, and certainly buoyed by that Lauren Young debut for sure. You did kind of touch on it there, but really, really sad to wake up to that news that JC's gone down with a knee injury again. That just absolutely I was already shattered because my brain was, my head was pounding and I was dealing with the flu, but then I was just like deliriously on my phone in the morning. I was like, wait, what? Am I seeing an old post? And then it's just like, she's really in there. There was just a real confusion for a moment when I saw it because it just suddenly there, like border, like we're going to drop this right before the game, uh, and
Absolute disbelief.
yeah, I couldn't
Absolute
believe it.
disbelief.
Yeah, she's available for selection
And
last week, and then it's just then she's done it.
yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, I remember Loz talking about it, saying that she's available for selection, but she just needs to do a little bit more. And we should see her in the next couple of weeks. It's just, oh my gosh, just the mental toll that something like that would take,
yeah,
knowing that you're that close to a return, um, and you've re-injured it. Obviously, yeah, we had something similar in Sam Powell-Pepper this year, but at least he got a little bit of football under his belt before, he played over half the season before re-injuring his knee, but
yeah,
it's just cruel. It's very crual. And, you know, she misses the rest of this season and she'll miss all of next season, as well. So there is a world where we may, there's obviously a lot of time, and in the AFLW, you can probably play on average a little bit later into your 30s. Um, but there is a world where we may not see her again, which is really, really bad. But I obviously don't want to project that into the universe. It's just gut-wrenching as a
yeah,
supporter of the club, knowing, been tracking how she's been progressing. And just, yeah, just knowing how hard you have to work sometimes,
yeah,
for it to all come crumbling down. Yeah, things don't always go to plan, and this has gone the other way in the most, yeah, heartbreaking fashion.
yeah, yeah. No, it is. It's heartbreak's the only way to put it. She's yeah, and it's crazy to think back to her debuting as captain, like not debuting for the club, but debuting as our captain last year. And
Hmm.
I think she got into our votes in that first game almost. We were really, really impressed with her.
I
And
think
then,
one of the first two, yeah.
yeah, we were really impressed with her efforts in the showdown last year. And yeah, then she got injured shortly afterwards. And, we haven't seen her play since. And she gave up the captaincy to focus on that. And then she's just a real hard luck story through no fault of her own. Just the luck of human genetics, really. Some of us are
Yeah, yeah,
others.
yeah. For some reason, the women are a bit more prone to ACLs,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it's all that.
Yeah,
Not that I'm.
by
I was just going to say I can't remember if there was some studies done on it, but like certain parts at certain points in the menstrual cycle as well, there's like that are more susceptible.
yeah. I
Um,
think you've mentioned that maybe off air to me
yeah, and look,
before.
don't take my like
Um,
anyone listening. Go out and do some research. I don't know what.
yeah.
I just remember that coming up as part of the research that possibly just what the body's doing in that and stuff. And I'm certainly no expert being a
Oh,
male.
that
Certainly
yeah.
never pretend to be, but I know even and I speak could
It's
be
just
speaking out.
fascinating.
Yeah, I could be
Yeah,
speaking out
it's
of
just a
turn here, but
fascinating, yeah,
yeah,
notion.
yeah.
Um,
I'm pretty sure my wife,
that
when she did
that.
hers, she said it was around that time as well, and she was like fascinated by that as well. Sorry, Andrea, for putting a little bit. We're married, and it's almost been 10 years. So, um, and yeah, because she tore her ACL as
And
well.
we're just two guys on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I'm certainly leaving all the medical stuff up to the
In
experts.
choppy waters.
There is there is stuff that the female athletes deal with beyond the lesser conditions, lesser pay, some of the other bullshit that the AFLW women have to deal with. They also deal with their bodies. Just then they act differently in with it, whilst also trying
Hmm.
to play the same elite sport that the men do. So they've got even more challenges in that front as well with the ACLs and all that stuff. So yeah, spare a thought for them and that all the work they do to try to do this and entertain us as fans, and we sit here and try to constructively criticize what the team's doing. But I do certainly
Hmm.
empathise with the fact there's a lot of stuff. There's still a lot of research that needs to go into understanding how women's bodies react, because there is some scientific difference to it. It doesn't mean they can't play it, but yeah, there's just like they do go out there and
Or how to mitigate it,
yeah,
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 in the
mitigate it,
future.
make things that they can do, or if there's not things that they can't do and it's an acceptable risk of playing, then it's certainly something I empathise with that they have to. And it is just sometimes just it comes down to the individual genetics as well.
Yeah, bit of luck.
Yeah. There's
as well.
some players that are just absolute machines that go out there week in, week out. Don't seem to really have any injuries. Like you see some of those superstars of the competition that are there week in, week
Mm.
out. Don't deal with too much injury, and then you just got Cuthbertson just having the heartbreaking two in a
Mm.
row without
Lauren
even.
Young
Yes, yeah, Lauren Young as
on the
well.
younger end of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Thankfully, she's got plenty of time to make her way.
absolutely. As we said, she made a very, very good start to it. Do you have any other points on the match, or you're happy to get to the votes?
Now, happy to move on. Yeah. Obviously, any loss is disappointing. We showed fight like we would expect, but don't get any points on the board, unfortunately. So we move on.
Absolutely. We move on and we go to the votes.
Now it's time for the CREEDCAST Player of the Year voting.
Because I'm struggling to speak, I'm going to do my votes first, but I'm going to leave more of the stats to Jamie when he gets to his. And once he's read his out, if there's any points of difference, I'll go back and find a few stats for mine. But and I'll leave honourable mentions until Jamie's gone as well. But I'll just rattle through mine real quickly here. I had Ella Heads in my one spot. She's just continuing to impress me, and she had a decent day on the stats, which we'll get to. I've got Abby Darrock in my two spot. Copy and paste Abby. She's a little bit lower down the list, but she still, had a decent day out there. Still just looking forward to get a few more disposals of the game and really take the game. But Indy Tahoe in my three spot. Magical Indy with that goal in the last quarter there, and really threatened to help us steal this one as well. I got Matilda Scholes in my four spots. Still just does some magical things, and quietly had some really impressive efforts in some of her numbers as far as the marks numbers and whatnot as well. But I had Ash Woodland in my five spot. I think she's just some of her disposal efficiency isn't quite as good, but just the task she's been asked to do and the role she's playing is such a unique one in the skill set she offers, both up forward and then she started the game in the middle again. There's just a lot that she's doing that I'm appreciating, and she's her role is really, really impressing me this year. Woodland with the 5. I did these votes. I wrote these down while I was in the midst of my flu symptoms after the game too, and stuck with it. So, Jamie, to you, let's see how you.
No, I'm a little bit the same. Kind of just they're written down, not in any immovable ink, for want of a better term, but they're down, so we'll go with them. I actually had Ella Heads as an honorable mention, a tough honorable mention, but glad that you got her in the votes because she just keeps on keeping on. Wouldn't be surprised if she's up there in our best and fairest count just through sheer consistency. So a great pickup. Unfortunately, on the honorable mentions and Lauren Young, as we just broke down, I gave Tahoe the 1 vote for mine. 11 disposals, 7 of which were contested. She went at 72.7%, which is just kind of her average. I should have looked that up. 278 meters gained, 3 marks, the 2 goals, both in the last quarter in her 3 score involvements. So, probably, with being a forward, probably a bit stiff to just get the 1 vote. But moving on to the 2, I've actually put Molly Brooksby in there. One of your usual favorites. But had a great game disposal wise, 17 disposals, 4 of which were intercepts. She went at 70.6%, which it definitely helps her case getting into it. Matched with the 17 disposals, 467 meters gained, which we've come to expect more or less by Molly. 8 rebound 50s and 4 tackles. She was involved in there was 1 tackle in particular. She kind of ragdolled someone, which was nice. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I've put Woodland at 3. Acknowledge everything you said. She had the 17 disposals, 11 which were contested, which would go off the back of what you're saying. 6 intercepts, 244 meters gained, 3 clearances, 4 rebound 50s, and 5 tackles. It's mostly the disposal efficiency for me, 47.1%. Um,
understandable as well. It's yeah,
mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really the only thing for me separating, and maybe again that leadership notion as well. Just use it a little bit better. Just getting their hands on the ball. I saw another few grabbing kicks from Ash, and she's better than that. She's better than that. It's just we get ourselves into a mode where it's just very junior football.
yeah,
Just grab the ball and just try and boot it without even looking. Um, there's some intrinsic stuff that we definitely got room to improve,
yeah,
more specifically in the off season when that eventually comes around. But moving on, 4 votes for me goes to Abby Dowrick. She got the 15, 11 of which are contested. She went at 73.3, 300 meters gain. Most importantly for me, she got 6 score involvements,
mm,
which I believe was, yeah, leading. Next best was 3, for a few players. So, yeah, in the AFLW, scores are so important, obviously, in what is a fairly low scoring competition in regards to what us as football fans are conditioned to expect. So leading the team for score involvements is a premium for mine. 7 clearances, 4 inside 50s, and 3 tackles. So just a typical copy and paste, well-rounded game. I don't disagree with you that I do want her to get more, especially when Goody was given a job.
yeah,
She was a bit of a sacrificial lamb, in regards to trying to put on a bit of a tag for Prosparkus at times.
yeah.
Pr pr just as a sidebar,
I was
um,
reasonably happy.
um, reasonably happy, but Prosparkus still ends up with 24 and is
Yeah,
averaging about 28. So you've kept Prosparkus to 4 possessions less, and it's meant that we probably haven't had the full gamut of what Goody can display on our end. So I don't know. I'd probably prefer like a Maloney, and we obviously love Maria Maloney. Loved her season last year, but there's probably some other people who I would maybe prefer to be pegged as a tagger
yeah,
when Goody is so beneficial to us in an offensive point of view. And we're talking about, a first quarter where we didn't score. That's probably where Goody's at the height of trying out the tag in the first quarter because they're coming fresh into the game. Prosparka still had 7 score involvements. So when Dowrick is 6 for us, she's surrounded by Geelong players from a score involvement point of view, and Prosparkas is second best on ground with 7. So, did we really benefit from that tag at the detriment of Goody's game? I'm not sure. If you
yeah,
are going to try it, okay. But that's where, yeah, if Goody's not getting any, like not crossing 10, yeah, I agree with you. I want to see Darrick consistently in at least 20, if not pushing up. Because much like our sentiments with Gemma Houghton and just taking those extra couple of marks, I think those are the percentages that we're leaving out on the table. Those are
yeah,
the percentages that can bridge that gap in age and experience and get it closer to where I think our talent should be getting us.
yeah,
So totally agree. Just with that little sidebar on Goody, I'm not sure if it's really benefiting us because I don't think it's the first time we've tried it this year. I know last year we did try it as well with Goody on Ella Roberts is one that sticks in my mind from last season, which worked fairly well. But again, I think
that
Ella
was
Roberts
more of
still
like
had a
that
pretty
was
good
like a
game
magnet
overall.
switch in game, wasn't it? Like to try to mitigate some
Yeah.
influence. So you do those ones, but if you start a game with a plan that you're kind of going to sacrifice someone,
Mm. Mm.
and it
And
was,
look, we revel in Willem Drew's team first nature and some of the jobs that he's done in our men's program,
but he's also
and that still allows us Zach Butters and Jason Horn-Francis and Connor Rosie to do their thing
a
because
Miles
they're
Bergman.
the
Yeah, you've got all these other
and
ones coming
Miles
through. So
and Miles Horn-Francis and
I'm Jason
um
Bergman. Yeah,
Jason Bergman. Yeah, exactly. So that's where I think like fair enough to try and develop a tagger. I just don't know if I want it to be Goody. I
yeah,
want her being the attacking flair, um, and obviously you can't fit 6 people into a CBA or we can't fit everyone into a stoppage, but I think my point still stands
Yeah,
overall.
yeah. I just think it's a problem when I mean I love that Matilda's leading the disposals, and I know you still have to finish your votes, and I think we all know where they're going, but it's just like when I see Matilda Scholes at the top of the disposals, and then Molly Brooksby and I mean Woodland's second, and she's you know a midfield player more or less now, so that she is a midfielder up there. But it is we don't every other team we play seems to have like a couple of their star midfielders at the top of the disposals,
Yeah.
and you know while Matilda Scholes is a unicorn and she's a midfielder slash ruckman rather than just the prototypical ruck. There is still we need to start getting a couple of midfielders up into those mid-20s and having that kind of Prasparkas Prasparkas.
Yeah, well, Bowen and Morrison. I mean, Morrison only ended up with 18. She's averaging a bit more. She still had impact though. But yeah, 100%.
But
They had 4 players above us in disposals.
Exactly.
Sorry, above Schultz. To further your point,
Nina Morrison matched with Schultz as well. So yeah, 5 players either equal or better. And Sands,
our best player,
and Sands Morrison, you've got them all at 60+% disposal efficiency as well. So yeah, it is part of it.
Those are the margins that we're talking about. And yes, to round out my votes, five votes goes to Matilda Schultz. More or less, I mean, her disposal efficiency left a lot to be desired with the 38.9% from her 18 disposals, but it's just the unicorn package at Matilda's playground, 23 hitouts, 12 contested possessions within her 18, 313 metres gained, 7 marks, 1 goal, 1, and then 1 goal assist, which helped her case in my regard, 4 clearances and 6 tackles. So she mentioned in her press conference that, while she is enjoying a good season and a half, to date, there's still room for her to improve, and there's a couple of things there that definitely come into it, which is frightening for the competition and fantastic for us. But the fact that she's still just such a well-rounded player, she can do anything. I agree with you that she is basically a midfielder. For her, I think it's a benefit that she's tall enough and strong enough to ruck, because she's just as good on the ground as she is in the air.
Yeah, it's amazing what kind of the unicorn type that she is. What she does, it's bewildering.
After the Melbourne game, I went to the Port store and I got a Matilda Schultz badge for my scarf, and the guy serving me at the Port store, he actually asked how Matilda Schultz went, and I basically just went, she played well, but she always does. So and he's like, yeah, you're right. So and this game is no different to that sentiment.
Yes, and hopefully she plays well in her next game as well, of which we can touch on here to close out. We have a little trip across to Moorabbin on this Sunday, the 28th, so the day after men's grand final day. Another 12:35 p.m. kickoff our time for most of us watching on TV. Shout out to any of the Victorian pair family that might be getting over there to RSCA Park. But yes, St Kilda we have coming up against us. Yet another matchup for a team that is right amongst it around us on the ladder. They're a game ahead of us. They've got 12 points on the table, so 3 wins versus our 2 wins this year. A percentage that's only marginally better than ours, but 2% more better than ours. So, it's an interesting kind of situation they find themselves in. They've won a couple on the bounce as well, I think. So, they're in a similar spot. Had a good win against the Crows to start off the year, but then had a few disappointing losses, but they bounced back with a couple of wins. It's another intriguing matchup. The betting odds are very, very close. $1.92 versus $1.88, so it's really a pick'em. I think we're a chance in this one.
Absolutely,
I think we have to. I think this is season on the line stuff now too. We have to go over.
And this is we've now lost 2 at home. This is an away win that we need to snatch. We need to go to Melbourne. We need to get it done. We'll obviously discuss it later in the week in a bit more depth. But St Kilda are absolutely gettable. Their 2 wins on the bounce have come against Richmond and Essendon, who are shaking after their promising start. St Kilda's 3 losses were actually against good opponents, and they got beaten quite handily.
Yeah.
Against those opponents. So this game coming up is no different to the game that we just played. We absolutely are in it up to our eyeballs against, like you said, an opposition who are in a similar spot to us as Geelong were, as Brisbane maybe in a couple of weeks' time after this game. We just absolutely need to get the job done. We need those players that we identified to lift that extra couple of % in the moments or overall, so that we can put the score on the board that's going to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a nice little test.
And sorry to cut in.
Yeah.
So our last 5 games have gone loss, win, loss, win, loss. So ipso facto,
and we're winning this weekend.
We're gonna win.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good history.
The next weekend is going to go then.
Pretty good history against St Kilda as well. We've played them 3 times in our AFLW journey, for 2 wins and 1 loss, and that 1 loss was only by 2 points in 2022, which seems so long ago now for this team.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8-point victory to Port away in 2023, and obviously that great win by 15 points last year when we were really kind of on our way towards finals. And St Kilda were above us in that game as well. I remember it semi-vividly, attending at Alberton. It was good arvo. So yeah, I'm confident of a win. I'm confident that we can win. Obviously, yeah. We just need to play 4 quarters of football.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited to see Lauren Young in their second game and all that stuff. But yeah, we'll talk about it more in depth when it comes to the squad show on Thursday. So stick around for that one on Thursday as per usual. Jamie, I'm about knackered because this flu is absolutely my ass. But thank you for getting on. And we got through an hour of it, and that was my mission. It was just try to get through an hour, and I love doing this as always. Thank you to everyone for joining us. But yeah, tonight has been one of those ones that has been a struggle just purely because of this flu kicking my ass. But just how much I love chatting Port footy with Jamie and chatting with everyone else here. It's just like it at least gave me a boost for a little while here, but I'm looking forward to some sleep. But yes, a big one for your Port Adelaide Football Club this weekend, and we're very, very much looking forward to it. I mean, we win this one, there's a few teams sitting in the 8 that are on 12 points. We're on 8 points. We're right in this league up to our eyeballs still. We just need to start winning these ones because that gap will grow if we can't win these ones, considering we're already halfway into the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cheers to all the Creed Port fam out there. Thank you as always for listening. Nothing more to say. I'm knackered. Let's hear from Aaron.
Down the pair.
Thanks, guys. See you later in the week.